And then the family just broke up, right? So it was like a divorce, right? So you're only 7, so you think your whole world's came crashing down. Before you know it, wasn't just hash and drink. Ecstasy then came as well, and I was only 12, mate, and I was buying, say, maybe 10 ecstasy tablets, one tick. After these drug dealers are giving me them, my life really took a change for the better, even though I was still really wrapped up in addiction and trauma. And when I was about 27, I met Kelly Marie. I used to go up the Red Fox Valley with my earphones and just sit in the woods praying for this pain to go away. But that was me starting to face my demons up front, thinking, right, this is what you do. And then I started hearing about like cold water and stuff like that. It's not just about the comedy, mate. It's about getting by those emotions, about feeling like you can't do something and then achieving it, but doing it successfully.
So, welcome to Social Sessions. Today we've got Jim King, podcaster, entertainer, influencer. So, how you doing, Jim? It's good to have you.
It's good to be here, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. So what I'll do is just obviously, well, I know you, Jim, with pals, right? This will probably end up more like a conversation than anything else. Do you know what I mean? But we'll go back to your kind of childhood, right, and talk about. I know you grew up in Carbrain and stuff like that, but how was it growing up in there?
So when I'm going back to childhood, it was actually the East End of Glasgow.
Right.
That's my first early memories.
Aye.
It's growing up in Belrock Street in Cranhill.
Wow.
So I stayed in the old tenements there.
Aye.
Right on Belrock Street.
Aye.
And we stayed at one side of the road, and my gran and granda stayed in other tenements.
Aye.
So you're going back, it was probably, I would say, 1989, 1990.
Aye.
So I was about 4. And that was my early memories, but it was rough there.
Aye.
It was right in there.
Still rough to
But that's where I was born. I still have fond memories of that, going out playing and stuff. I went to St Modens Primary there.
Aye.
And then we moved to Carntine.
Aye.
When I was about 5, and I went to another school called St Thomas's.
Aye.
Up in Ridley.
Aye. I think I know you, but I don't know it well, Jim, know what I mean? But I know you are.
The memories I have there, it was all good stuff, mate.
Aye.
You know, there was never any, obviously it was rough going outside, but the world was totally different then.
I think if you grow up in that area, you don't know anything else anyway. So you don't know, like, it's rough. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you just know it and you're free there, so everybody knows you and it's different. Do you know what I mean? You can look back now maybe and say that.
That's where it was, and I remember now going back, so I must have been about 7. So I went to, as I say, St Thomas's, and then something happened in my family. It was myself, my mum, my dad, my brother, my older brother, and then the family just broke up, right? So it was like a divorce.
Aye.
Right, so you're only 7, so you think your whole world's came crashing down.
Definitely.
And before you know it, we were moving to Cumbernauld.
Aye.
Right, but it was only me, my mum, and my brother.
Aye.
My dad's staying in Glasgow, so I've never spoke about this.
Aye.
Right, so it'd be hard, but I think that was one of the traumas, and not everybody will agree with me, right? But this is me saying it for how I feel. I feel like that was a massive turning point in my whole life, right? Because moving for there, having that family structure, and then moving into, ended up Cabrain. That's where we went, and it was Stoney Road, 202R Stoney. I'll never forget it. And the old verandas, if anybody from that area will know. And that was worse than any of the schemes that I'd stayed in Glasgow.
Aye.
Right?
I've had a lot of people saying that.
And that's me coming for both sides. And I thought, fucking hell, what's this place? But I'm only 7. But I remember arriving there, it must have been 1993, the summer of 93, right? And I was about, what age am I then? 7. And I remember just getting there, and my ma got me a bike, and I was cycling a bit.
Aye.
And I was always dead, like, popular. Everybody kind of knew me, took to me. I had this likability.
Aye.
But I was a rascal. I was always up to no good.
Aye.
And that was my right early memories.
Aye.
Yeah, getting there.
So obviously, like, when you're moving, these things are huge, Jim, and obviously the studies are like talking about trauma, and that is one of the highest things as a child, like having that family breakup and that kind of. So, what was it like when you obviously go to Cabrain and it's no like they've not got your dad? Is it a different kind of? You just feeling different as a child at that time?
I think then it was just because of the environment as well,
Aye.
right? I had a very good household upbringing, but when that split happened, it was mad, mate, because we were then in poverty.
Aye.
We were poverty stricken,
Aye.
right? And you're moving into a place like Cabrain. My mum doing her best, working 2 jobs, working as a cleaner, working in Asda, but it's never enough back then, you know, and then everything that goes with it, mate. So you just become accustomed to that lifestyle, right? So when, I think at the first summer, I wasn't really up to anything, right? I think really when it got to about age 9, when I just started going to St Joseph's back then, changed the name now, in Cabrain, going there, again, very popular, but in my mind, I always wanted to be the best football player, and believe it or not, the best fighter. Back then, that was a thing. That was a thing back then, right? But I was tiny, right? I was a height of shite. But in primary school, that's what I thought. I wanted to be the best fighter and the best football player. But when I was about 9, I started to venture out into the scheme more. Back then, you were allowed to go out and play.
I know.
There was you could go out from morning to night, and nobody'd be looking for you, right? And as I say, I was always good at football, so I would play with older kids, right? And I'm not going to mention the names because I'll need to rhyme off everybody. But I used to go onto the grass and we'd have goals and that set up, and I would mingle with them and play because I would be at that level, even though I was only 9. And
I remember people talking about you being a good player. I do remember it.
Well, we'll tap into that later on, right? They'll call me King of the Wing for nothing, Sean. And playing with them, so they were 14. And I'm listening to them all, and they're all talking about drinking, smoking hash. That was it. It was drinking and hash. There was no other drugs, really. So they used to have a wee joint and all that, and I'd be like wondering what they up to and what's hash, and just pure intrigued by it all. And the first time I ever had a drink, it's going to sound crazy, right? But this is, again, I'm reliving it all because it is a trauma and I feel like I want to get it out. And this will be like therapy for me. I remember there was 2 guys, and I know you can see the full thing there now, where it is. It was right in Cabrain, and they were drinking cider. They had a couple of bottles of Ice Dragon, and one of them dared me to tan it.
When I wanna kind of
tan the bottle of Ice Dragon. I'm only 9, but everybody's there, and that's just what happened. I done it, and it hospitalised me, and I ended up rushed to Monklands and got my stomach pumped. So again, and then before you know it, social work was involved and all that, and I think that's right. So but it never stopped me. My poor mass, even I think back, terrible. But
you probably get. So you have to have your stomach pumped, and you come out, and then everybody's all, "Oh, Jim, that you're probably seeking that popularity and that validation for your peers that are in the street. Then, do you know what I'm talking about? And they're all talking about you, so you're maybe even
made it
learning.
worse.
Made it worse.
Because then I was building a reputation. Unbeknown to myself, I thought, yes, I'm going to be well known now. So, by the age 10, right, I was smoking hash every day with these people.
Crazy, man.
When you think about that, right? And it was buckets. So it was myself and.
What primary is that, Jim? 5, 6, 5?
No. Oh, let me see here. So it must have been about, because I was a Christmas leaver. So it must have been about primary 6. Primary 6 and 7, mate. Because I went to high school when I was just 11, I'm sure.
It's young, isn't it? Like, it's
really young. My daughter's
buckets,
coming up for 9, mate, so I could never imagine. But that's where it escalated, right? Before you know it. As I say, we were living in poverty, so I never had anything, any money or anything like that. So I used to venture out, again, hearing about shoplifting up at Town Centre. I would shoplift. Before you know it, I had a clientele, deodorants, running all the verandas, right? And I had they would tell people, would tell you, honestly. And I used to get a £5, and then I would even go to the drug dealer's house and buy a £5 bit, and then I'd be in buckets. I had my own gauze, I'm only 10. And then
it's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it?
And I would play roles everywhere I went, like in school, but I was always in bother, right? But this is where it kind of changed for me, because I started to realise I don't really want to be the best fighter because I'm fucking tiny, right? And everybody's getting bigger, and so it was more when I, say about 11, went to high school, I realised fighting was a no-no, right? I thought, I'll need to be smarter here because I'm not going to win these fights anymore, right? And I thought I'll be the best football player and I'll try and be popular. But looking back, mate, you're starting a high school with a drug habit, right?
I know.
And a drink habit, because even though I wasn't drinking every day, every weekend, I must have been acting like 14, 15, even though I'm only 10 and 11 because I'm hanging around with them all.
Certainly a lot younger than me. Like, I was probably like maybe the summer of first year, maybe something like that. Like, I've had my first drink. So, it is young, Jim. It's young, you know what I mean?
Well,
But was it commonplace in Cabrain with the people you were going about with? Was it like...
they were all doing it.
Aye.
There was a guy I used to hang about with. I'll not mention him, but they'll know, the audience will know who I'm talking about. He's passed away recently.
Aye.
It used to be me and him.
Aye.
Constant. We were only 10, 11, as I say. We would play football, but we would write mentions. We would steal spray paint. We would spray stuff. We would break into places. We would rob it, shoplift, hash, drink.
Aye.
Chaos.
Aye.
At that young age.
It's madness.
Right?
And
so you're born right into that madness, and then into moving into high school. It was drinking every weekend, right? And then it would know you're venturing into all the other schemes. Mostly called drum.
Aye.
We'd all kind of, you know, and
Aye.
I like to be mingle with the gang stuff.
Aye.
Right? But I didn't like the violent side of it.
Aye.
Even though it was like having a fucking an angel and a devil on your shoulders.
Aye.
Saying like, the angel would come and say, don't get involved in that because you're going to get slashed or you're going to get stabbed or prison.
I mean, people, wasn't it quite Glasgow, right? I'm never going to say that, but it was rough. Like, Cumbernauld, growing up, it was that gang mentality where you were from, and Cabrain was the worst. Probably Cabrain, even how like they were pretty rough. Do you know what I mean?
I think Cabrain as well, because a lot of people don't understand. Back then, it wasn't just one gang. There was many a gangs,
right?
And they all fought with each other
inside Cabrain.
Inside Cabrain, right. But
Right.
I kind of mingled with everybody. I got on well with it because that's just my character.
Aye.
I didn't want to fight, but before you know it, mate, this is going to sound crazy, but and I'm sorry if I'm skipping it, but moving into like the high school side of things, so I'm about 11, 12, before you know it wasn't just hash and drink. Ecstasy then came as well. And I was only 12, mate, and I was buying, say, maybe 10 ecstasy tablets on tick. After these drug dealers are giving me them.
Aye.
And I'm maybe going about the scheme. I remember being in school and giving them to people.
Aye.
In school.
Mad, I know,
12-year-old,
aye.
and they were big Mitsubishis, they were strong, mate. And I used to be at my trio on them all the time. And then it would just escalate for there. It became everything, mate. Like acid, speed, all the downers, all the drink. And then before you, even at that young age, with your brain still developing, I was blacking out as well. Doing stuff that I would not, you know.
Aye.
But still allowed to myself to keep going because unbeknown to me, I was blocking out trauma, but it was building more trauma. It's crazy.
I think that is the poverty. That poverty is like a driver of these things, and I don't. It's no seen enough as one of the kind of factors of poverty and trauma and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But most people with trauma, like that, the type of trauma you're talking about, come from kind of working class backgrounds, same kind of areas. And I say it quite a lot. You go into prisons, it's all the same areas, Jim. A lot of people fake a brain in the prisons. A lot of people, and you'll know all the boys I'm talking about. You know them all. But as I say, when I grew up, I kind of knew you as that kind of guy in Paps that was a bit of a party animal, and I didn't. I always got on really well with you. You weren't a fighter. I knew you went about with some of the boys that fought and all that, but I always knew you. That I always just got on with you. Do you know what I mean? There was never ever any kind of hanging, but I knew you as a partier. Do you know what I mean? I knew that about you.
That's right, mate. I just feel like as I started getting into the teenage years and stuff, my intuition and like back then I didn't really know, but it was like intelligence would kick in.
Aye.
Reading situations, even though you're intoxicated most of the time, but I would know not to get involved in that violent side of things, mate.
Aye.
Because it was only going one way.
Aye.
And I thought, well, I don't really want to hurt people, and I don't want to be hurt. So, and then the other voice was on there saying, "Oh, you're a shite bag." Well, they'll say this and they'll say that, and I thought, well, fuck them, because I'm protecting myself.
Of course.
And I want to show people who are the real character. That I don't like that side of it. You don't need to do that.
No.
There's other ways we can get around it.
Definitely.
And it worked well for me, mate, because I was very rarely in any fights or anything like that. The only time I was in any bother was self-inflicted, mate, through maybe getting to jail for being blacked out or, you know, causing chaos in a pub. But never violent, just maybe out of order or being volatile.
Yeah, but
It was never any I never once had any gang stuff, mate.
No, because it was obviously when but I know the boys that were going about with, and some of them are rough and ready, you know what I mean, and they were like well-known people in Cumbernauld, and it's like it must have been weird for you then in that way where you're. I mean, I don't think anybody likes. Looking back now, I don't think anybody wanted that. Maybe a couple of people, right, are like maybe problems, psychological problems or whatever, and they did like violence. But I don't think I think people were probably doing the same exactly what you're doing, only they were choosing to do the violence. Do you know what I mean? But they still had the two people talking. But it must have been hard growing up and seeing a lot of violence because it was violent people you were hanging about with. Do you know what I mean? So
I used to see it every weekend, mate.
Aye.
Parties, it would turn, you could feel it, you knew it was going to happen.
Certain characters walking in and
most of the time I seen it before it happened, unless I was really glittered, right? But I honestly, when I look back, I'm thinking, fucking hell, man, how did nothing ever happen to me? Because I hadn't done anything bad to anybody, so why should anything bad be done back to me?
Definitely.
Even in the other schemes, I could speak to them.
Aye.
Maybe no Abram Hull, that was a bit different. We'll get into that in a minute. There's something about that. But no, see, to be honest, mate, I'm not want to paint it as such a bad picture, right? Through all the teenage years, escalated, it did. Into like late teens. It was just chaos and parties everywhere. It just became the norm.
I know.
But I could function. So I could go and get starting work at 16. I would go to work, but I was bluttered. You know, so I was kind of playing this role. And then I ended up working on the roads as well. I got that job when I was about 19, but even then, mate, I was always phoning in sick and I was always partying. And that's all I really wanted to do, was party. Because like I said, it wasn't all bad, right? There was times where we had some right laughs. And it was good, but what goes up must come down.
Definitely.
And I never knew how to end it, if you know what I mean, end the night, because I didn't want that feeling, because I knew it was coming, that horrible, that fucking disgusting feeling that I can only describe as it got worse and worse and worse into my 30s.
How long are you talking then, Joe? Like, so say you go out on a Friday and all that, how long were you out? Were you out for a week at a time that sometimes?
There was times where I'd be out for 3 days, right? Which is normal. And then there'd be times I could be out for a week. And everything was fucked. The job was fucked. The motor was gone. All this stuff, mate. I was just...
You don't realise how damaging it is to think that that's normal, isn't it? Like when that becomes your normality, it's... And
as your vibration is slipping and getting lower and lower and lower because you're... And I had always had money, right? Whether it be my wages or options of family members or whatever. But what you would notice is, and this is no dig to anybody, because I used to think I was better than people because I had a job or I had a car or I had a good family or whatever, right? But I was the worst at them all because I fought like that. But when I used to get maybe 2 days, 3 days, you notice the people that you would end up hanging around, it would lower, the vibration would drop. And before you know it, you're hanging about with people that would probably stab you or slash you, or, you know, but you're not giving a fuck by then. And you're still thinking you're the main man and you're this and you're that. But it takes years and years and years, mate, abuse. Because
you were hanging about people that were like dealing with like probably like major trauma. I mean, I'm not saying your trauma wasn't like, obviously you're feel like a good fam. Like some people were, the people you're going about were brought up running about violence and running about things. So you must have seen quite a lot, like and probably not agreeing with a lot of it, like and going, oh, do you know that way because you're a nice person. I know you, Jim. I know who you are, but you're living in that environment and it's swallowed you up. Do you know what I mean? It's
definitely, but I'm proud of the fact that I didn't go the way I was supposed to go to join in, type of thing, just to keep face, because it was going against everything I believed in. So I was definitely an angel, right?
But I said it's testament to your character. Then, do you know what I mean? That you were able to go about with the kind of people and no take liberties and no do these things. Do you know what I mean? So.
Well, in the parties, mate, I seen people getting stabbed. I seen people getting slashed. There was, as you know, there was shootings.
I know.
People getting murdered. Oh, yeah, they had a fucking something stupid. You know what I mean? So seeing all that and growing up with it all, mate, it just became normal. And like I said, that level of addiction just got worse and worse and worse, mate. Because I couldn't think of another way to live. That's all I knew was substances, right? And the drink was the worst for me. And then that carried on, mate, into my 20s. It just got worse and worse and worse.
Aye.
And when I look back now, it was like, but I'm grateful for it as well, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you talking about these things.
It's controversial, right? But these things build character, right? And there's obviously other people involved at the other side of it. So you need to take their like the victims and that, and or whatever, do you know what I mean, into account, and the ripple effect has own name. But it does build character, and there's a lot of people that go through life that have lived hard lives that are now giving a lot out to the community. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people change, and I think as a society, we don't like. It's like we don't know. We don't. It's if we don't like to give people the kind of the acknowledgement of doing that, the change that they've actually made, and the ability of the to be able to change for that. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jim? So I think that can you think back to the moment when you went, fuck this? Like, can you think of that moment when you went?
Definitely, mate. But there's a wee bit of the story there to tell before that.
Aye.
Because it wasn't until I was about into my 30s, mate. But so that chaos continued right through early teenage years into late teenage years, and then the full 20s. It's just like one big hangover.
Aye.
One big blur of chaos, right?
Aye.
In my life, living up to the nickname. I stayed in Beechwood. They used to call me the Beechwood Bandit.
Aye.
We went to it with all the parties and all the birds, cowboy hat, telling all the jokes and the stories. As I said,
Aye.
and then I became that character.
Aye.
And I need to live up to it.
Aye.
All of that through all my 20s. And then I feel like I might be missing stuff out, but there's so much there, mate. You know what I mean? We'll be here for days, but
I know.
Moving into my life really took a change for the better, even though I was still really wrapped up in addiction and trauma. And when I was about 27, I met Kelly Marie, and it was brilliant, mate. It was life changing, even though we were still drinking, and that's when the cocaine had then came.
Aye.
So it wasn't really ecstasy or acid and all that. It was more drinking and snorting cocaine, and that really got a grip of me.
That got a grip of you quick.
So I was 27 when I met Kelly Marie, and you talk about meeting your soulmate. We had to off so fast. It was like just a whirlwind, right? Beautiful lassie, full of character, laughter, charisma, very intelligent, creative, everything that I was drawn to, right? So I could see why the universe put us together. And I would say it was probably the first 2 years. But the first 2 years was amazing, even though, as I say, we were chaos together. But it was all with the same character. And we just went travelling all around the world. It was beautiful, mate. We went all over Europe, but one that stands out is we went to America. Just me and her, and she had friends over there that stayed in Sacramento.
Sacramento,
Right, so we flew,
I don't know where it is, but is that?
It's away up the very north of California.
Right.
So we flew into Sacramento, right, on September 11th, believe it or not.
Rough, isn't it?
It was rough up there. They stayed in the ghetto. So when we got there, we're like, yes, America. And it was they're saying, you put that vest on. I'm like, no, I need to go out of here. But we had the big motor there. And we ended up travelling ourselves. So we travelled, and I'll try and do this quick because I could be here all day, but that was the really start of my life changing, even though I was still intoxicated. Crazy stories, mate. We got the car and we travelled from Sacramento down to San Francisco. And we've done the Alcatraz tour. I've still got it, and I've never released the content. It's brilliant. What a tour, right? Because I was obsessed with the story. And I says to her, I'm going to go there. The escape and stuff.
You think it happened?
Oh, fuck it. It happened. I've been there. I've been in the Alcatraz twice, I believe it or not. But anyway, we went there and then we just travelled everywhere, mate. We were travelling down to LA, Hollywood. Kelly Marie never had a driving licence at the time.
Aye.
But I was getting bluttered and letting her drive.
Aye.
Sounds crazy.
Aye.
Right? I've got a video of it, so I released them.
Aye.
But Boat's a Mad Dog.
Aye.
Because it's a
Did you
USA.
have that? Is that
It's
USA?
made in USA.
Is it?
So you got all your flavours in LA, and they call it over there bum juice.
Because
Because all the bums, they sit and drink it in a paper bag. I'm buying it.
Is that with Mad Dog?
Mate, it was $3 when I went. This is 2014 that was, so it was $3, right, for a bottle of Mad Dog. And I was tanning it, right?
Aye.
And I'm driving this fucking motor, and she's saying, "You can't drive anymore." And I'm saying, "I'm all right," and all that. And we had a big cool box, with beers and all that. And it's fucking mental, mate. She ended up driving the motor. It was an automatic.
Aye.
And I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm saying to her, she went onto the freeway.
Oh, God.
And I says to her, "Right, drive to Vegas," and I'm scooting this bottle. And she started crying. I can't do it. And there was like 7 lanes.
Aye.
And we pulled in, and I got a wee sleep, and then I drove to Vegas.
Aye.
But I was still bluttered, mate.
Did you drive to Vegas?
I drove to Vegas for LA, absolutely bluttered at my tree. Still drinking beers on the way down, listening to music. We got to Vegas, and then it was all hell in this, mate. We went shooting guns.
Aye.
Like I said, mate, one of the best times of my life, looking back.
Aye.
Travelled everywhere, and we were stuck together. But
this is the thing. It's
life
like,
changes,
I think
mate.
we were talking about it, and somebody obviously gave me that term, post-narcissistic recovery, right? Like, no, post-recovery narcissist, right? And it really made me think, right? And I'm thinking, see, when there's all different methods of recovery, right? I've seen people going in the spiritual path. I've seen people going the religious path. I've seen people going down the 12 steps. I've seen people going down, and they all work but they all work for different people. I don't think there's one way works for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying if everybody done 12 steps and followed it, they would probably, like their life would be better, right? But the times that you had when you're under the influence, probably you wouldn't change it, which is mental, because you're talking about this like amazing, like, and it's madness, and you've got a buzz, and you know what I mean? You're driving to Vegas like, under the influence of fucking Mad Dog and in America, crazy stuff. Do you know what I mean? Looking back, it's madness, and you wouldn't go back to it, right? But there's that you can see why people get stuck chasing the good times, and it's a shame, because the good times, they end. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's what happened to you and Kelly Marie. I'm sure you'll tell us in a minute, but I don't know if you agree with me on that, like with the recovery thing. There's all methods, different methods, and I think
I totally agree with you, mate. I feel that everybody has, this is just my opinion, their own unique path.
Aye.
And I feel that a lot of people get caught up, as you said, talking about what works for them, and they try and force it onto other people.
Aye.
I'm a great believer in you can only guide them.
Aye.
And they'll find their own way, what works for them.
Aye.
And I feel that we need to just let people go in their own journey, mate, because you do find your own way.
Definitely.
I found mine, but mate, there's many stories. There's hundreds and funny stories of stuff that all happened in Cabrain and the gang stuff and all that. And I would always be like a go-between.
Aye.
But before I get right into moving into my 30s, there's many funny stories, right? And I try and tell these stories on the stage when I'm getting my wee shot at comedy.
Aye.
Because it's trauma.
Aye.
They're fucking funny.
Aye.
Funny stories. Like, I always tell the one about when I got caught with ecstasy tablets.
Aye.
Right? But I'm not going to tell it because I've told it that many times. And I got the strips, all right, I'll tell it. No, I won't. But I got the strip search. I had the micro penis and all that. And it's grew back now, Sean. Do you know what I mean? But it was, that was a fucking time. But it was funny. Right? But then there's another one where this is a cracker, because I must have been about 25 or something, right? Just briefly before we move into when I'm in my 30s. Maybe younger than that, but we're on this party in Cabrain. And as you said, so who's who are nutters. And we're poverty stricken. We've got a fucking penny, right? I had a £5 note. I'll never forget it. And it was the only fiver we had between us. And somebody's saying to me, "Oh, how can we get drugs and all that?" And I says, "Well, I know this lassie that's pals with Abram Hill. Abram Hill mob. She'll be able to get his ecstasy." So I phones her. She'll know who it is. I'm not going to mention her. And I says to her, "Look, we're looking for," I think it was like 10 ecstasy tablets, right? "Can you get us, or 20? Might have been." She says, "Aye, Jim, they're wanting this such and such amount, whether it be £100 or whatever it was." I says, "Right." She went, "I'll meet you at the bridge." called Drum.
Aye.
So I says to him, right, I says, this is what I'm going to do. £5 note. And I wrote out a wee IOU, right? So it's Cabrain, Abram Hull, could imagine it, right? And they're all laughing and all that. Oh, you're mental, Jink. And so I'm playing up to it.
Aye.
I've wrote IOU, Beachwood toy, IOU, fucking £95, whatever it is. Get it up, you.
Aye.
And I've put the £5 and I've put the note in it. Anyway, I've met the lassie at the bridge.
Aye.
I'm sure it was 20 eckies. And she's gave me the bag and I've gave her the £5 with the note and she went, Jim, you kidding on? I says, nah, fucking gear him it. I'm Bluetooth, no, I think it's a laugh.
Aye.
So she started laughing, and she gave them it, mate.
Aye.
And I'm back at the party, they're all snorting them, we're fucking
Aye.
laughing like fuck. Somebody robbed the shop for wine.
Aye.
I robbed them for the eckies.
Aye.
And somebody had rolling tobacco. That was your parties in Cabrain, mate. It was crazy.
Grim, wasn't
We'd
it?
have fucking stole anything off you.
Aye.
Right? But I've tried to do it without hurting people.
Aye.
So I'm doing it in a jokey way.
Aye.
But it backfired. Next minute they're on the phone, they're shouting, he's getting done and all this, and ended up a bit of an influence. A guy had a bit of influence.
Aye.
Come on the phone
Aye.
and he's like, listen, that's not happening.
Aye.
And it all gets sorted out. But
Aye.
I met him in the dancing years later and they laughed about it.
Aye.
Stories like that, mate. But as I say, it doesn't last forever. But moving into with Kelly Marie and stuff like that. But the first 2 years of the relationship was amazing, mate. We travelled everywhere. I lost track of the amount of places we went.
Mm-hmm.
But then the alcohol and the drugs took over, mate, and it just went volatile. It went, you lose track of who you are. I think all the years of abuse.
Keep up, can't you know?
Nah.
Yeah.
So it was into the 30s and that, mate, and I'll admit I was no being a nice energy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, because I work all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm working and I'm providing, I deserve to get absolutely bluttered
Mm-hmm.
when it's my time off.
Mm-hmm.
And no help with the win.
Mm-hmm.
No help.
Aye.
You know, when my daughter Alexis
Mm-hmm.
King came into the world, I was still intoxicated, but I was still a kid myself, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know any. I'd been taking drugs and drinking for I was a kid.
Aye.
Now I've got this baby to look after. How can I do it?
I know.
I couldn't face up to my demons.
Aye.
Because I always had something to block it with.
Mm-hmm.
So that took its impact on the relationship. And then my son came in 2019, James King Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're always saying, give him another name. No, that's his name.
Aye.
King of the Wing.
Aye.
And that's when I slowly started having more of a connection then.
Aye.
But the relationship had gone, mate. It had broken down because, like I said, I didn't even know who I was.
I know.
I couldn't recognise myself
Mm-hmm.
because all I'd ever done was block it out with drinking drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I was morbidly obese. I had no self-confidence. I couldn't speak. I was a Shelley myself. I got lost.
Mm-hmm.
I lost soul. And I believe that was near the end, mate. And I think there's one bit that stands out the most for me.
Did you ever hang out in Jim? Did you ever I don't mean that, but did you ever contemplate just
That's
doing
what I'm about to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how you're just asking that. Aye.
Synchronicity, Carol Jung.
Synchronicity, my friend. Crazy stuff. So, Kelly Marie had went away with her gran and her auntie on holiday or something. And I was rattling the gear bad because I'm thinking, right. And what happened was I was on call
Mm-hmm.
and work, and I never got on with the management team because I've got this character
Aye.
and they don't like that, right? So they phoned me up and I was bluttered and they says, oh, well, you've got to call it. And I says, I'm not on fucking call. Get the fuck. No, and I said, fuck that.
Aye.
And I'm
Sacked.
still snorting. No, I didn't even get sacked,
Did
believe
you
it or not. I get a final written. I had 20 final written warnings. I was too good to sack. But she was away on holiday.
Aye.
Mate, and some of the stuff that I was getting up to, man, I'm not going to speak about it on here, but it was out of order.
Aye.
Right? I was fucked.
Aye.
And that was a turning point because I became that low
Mm-hmm.
that I remember getting into, when was that again? I remember getting into the garage, right? So I was just myself, but I was lost, mate.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't face up to it myself. And I remember looking at the wooden beams and all that, and not really spoke about this. I think I shared this in Addicted to Life.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, you know what, I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. I can't keep taking the gear, drinking to block this, whatever this pain is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is,
Aye.
but it's consuming me. And then the mind starts telling you, you're better off
Mm-hmm.
gone now because you're not used to any cunt. You're worthless. Look at you. What good are you? So you start tricking your. So before you know it, I've fucking bumped myself up to do this.
Aye.
And I'm in that garage. And this is going to sound mad, right? But that was a turning point for me. I'm looking at the gear.
For a lot of people, mate.
But I was fucking that close to doing it, right? It was a few times I thought about it. And I thought.
It becomes an ideology when you're that low.
So I was ready to fucking. I'm going to hang myself anyway, but it sounds mad because I remember I had YouTube on my phone and it was Purple Rain that was on.
Aye.
Right? Prince, Purple Rain, right? I love my music, mate, and I'd sit there and I listen to all the old stuff and get right into that vibe. And the tears were streaming, man, because I thought this is the end here. You know, people are better off for me to leave. I'm fucked. And the tears, and it was like I could see all my childhood and all this stuff. And I thought, and then Purple Rain went off, and how it sometimes goes to an advert, and then it goes on to like another video, usually another music video, but it wasn't. And this is going to sound controversial because of what's happened with him in the news and stuff, but it was Conor McGregor, right? And he was talking about energy, and he was talking about the law of attraction, and it done something to me because I didn't even know who he was. I was like,
oh no, he was massive
on
for
his
that,
rise.
He was
So that changed me. So I started listening to that, and I fucking done away with it. I put the drinking gear down, right? And I thought, right, this guy's fucking. Where did that come from? This mad energy, this belief in himself, and I used that, and it started flipping, mate. I was saying to Kelly Marie, I want to come off a drink. I know I'm going to do better. But I was trying to do better for her. I was trying to do better for our people, know myself.
Aye.
But by that point, mate, it was gone. It was finished because she was on a healing journey as well, and she didn't need that. We weren't good for each other anymore.
Aye.
Because it was years and years of that low vibrational, encouraging each other.
Too much damage had done.
That was a great turning point because even though I became that low, when I started listening to him and the stuff, I was out jogging. I even brought I bought a McGregor hoodie, right? UFC hoodie and all that. And I'm out jogging, listening to my music, and I was heavy.
Aye.
And see that feeling that I got, it was the first taste I ever had of a natural high. Like getting a buzz without taking something. And it kind of started to flip. I thought, what the fuck's this? So I started jogging all the time, listening to the motivational people like Les Brown. And it really installed a new version of myself, and it unlocked a lot of things, talents, skills that I never knew I had. And that was really the start of the journey, mate, but it wasn't all plain sailing.
So what age you, Jim, then? Is this like maybe early 30s? Maybe
I was in my early 30s. So when I was first trying to get off it.
Did you do it? Did you go through like did you try 12 steps and all that? Did you do all the different kind, or did you just do it your own way?
I looked into a lot of with the recovery stuff, with the steps and all that, and it's not for me, mate, because I felt like I've always had this mad character, like I'm either 100% in or I'm 100% out. But I knew when I tasted that natural high, I knew that I could do it. I knew what I had to do, and I knew the path that I had to take. Unbeknown to me, it would be so many twists and turns on the way, but that's how the universe works. But I never thought about steps, mate. I just thought about getting better. But by that time...
So did you cold turkey drink or that? Cold turkey the gear and that?
Well, the way it happened was I had... The relationship with Kelly Maria, it was all fucked, right?
Aye.
So before that, I'd been using, sounds crazy, non-alcoholic beer. So I was saying, like, people weren't take me serious. What do you mean you're no drinking and all that? Come on, Kingy, and fucking you're the Beachwood Bandit. Right. I says, no, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm done with it. Right? And when the drink was gone, the gear was gone. Because I wouldn't want.
They came toe and toe.
I wouldn't want gear. So cold turkey, aye. But it's because I added new stuff in. I was lifting weights, I was jogging, I was watching inspirational stuff, I was writing in a journal. But I had ups and downs with it. It wasn't like I just said, right, that's me off it, and I was off it. That's nonsense. It was a process. I had like 3 or 4 relapses. In the early 30s, mate. But around about that time, that's when the relationship broke down with Kelly Marie, and it was a hard time because it's my family, mate. It's my kids.
And you said earlier, like, I kind of caught on to, like, You said soulmate. Do you know what I mean? So,
It was and I still believe that we are soulmates.
aye.
But your soulmate doesn't always need to be your partner or your lover,
No.
you know what I mean?
Aye.
Because even though we're not together, right? And we still have this bond.
She's the mother of your kids, isn't she?
We've got that, right? But I feel like we've still got this friendship, mate. And I think that's priceless. Because a lot of people turn volatile when the relationship breaks down.
Definitely.
And I'm so glad that we kept that. You know what I mean? It's good for the Waynes. It's good for us.
100%.
And she helps me with a lot of stuff and I help her. But
So good for the Waynes, mate.
and I wish her all the happiness in the world, mate, because what I've realised now is I can't make her happy. I'm not the guy to give her happiness,
Aye.
to be a husband, to be, she needs peace in her life.
Aye.
Somebody that's peaceful. I'm far from it. I'm too erratic. You know what I mean? I'm always coming up with all these ideas. I'm full of carry on.
Aye.
You know, I've just got this.
You've got a creative thing through you, Jim. You've got like a creative. What I've noticed, see, since I've started doing podcasting and started doing these kind of things, you see a lot of creative characters that don't have partners. Like a lot of the guys that I know that are kind of doing well on social media and kind of hanging because it's time consuming being creative. Do you know what I mean? No, but it's in a good way. But it can be draining as well, as you well know. Do you know what I mean? Like it can be draining, but we'll get into that later. But I think that you've got a creative streak through you, and see if somebody's just wanting that wee family life and just wanting, and she's happy with the bills getting paid and the Wayne's growing up and having that, then it's hard to.
Well, I think for me, she's very creative as well, right?
Aye.
And she's a performer, singer.
Aye.
I'm telling you, she could be a comedian, an actress.
Aye.
Skills are there, but it's because we're so similar.
Aye.
She's that big character,
Aye.
but she needs somebody that brings peace.
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
And listen, like I said, but I'm all for the support now, and
Aye.
I hope that she deserves it. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Everybody's on their own journey, as I say, but that's where it went, mate. And the relationship, I would say I was about 34. What age am I now?
Is this when Merkaba comes in then?
Well, that was around about that time, mate. We ended up going back to the scheme, right? And it was a hard time because I was a lost soul because that's all I knew was addiction. Came back to my mum's and all the rest of it. But I had two choices: go back and hang about in the party lifestyle. You're in your 30s, mate. You know, you see so many people still doing it at that age. They're not happy, mate. They're fucked. You know what I mean?
A lot
And
of people die, I know, Jim.
they're
Don't
dying.
they?
But
Aye.
so I went back there, back to the scheme, but I never became what I used to be. I was the opposite. And what I realised was that I couldn't live up to that character anymore. So nobody really wanted to befriend me in a way. You know what I mean? Like the old days. Because I couldn't, that's not who I was anymore. So I found myself being lonely, mate. And I used to go up the Red Fox Valley with my earphones and just sit in the woods praying for this pain to go away. But that was me starting to face my demons up front, thinking, right, this is what you do. And then I started hearing about like cold water and stuff like that. But what happened was, it was mad how the universe works. I was jogging by, I know I don't look like a jog anymore, but I was jogging by the Westerwood at Cumbernauld. And I thought, that looks quite nice in there. I'm going to go in and see what I've always been like that. There. And the guy I knew was on the desk, right? It was a pal of mine 4 years ago's brother. And he's like, Jim, how you doing? Synchronicities. I says, oh, I'm looking to check the place out. And he went, just get in. In you go. Keep the towel and all that. And I'm away in. Skip the gym. Straight in. Mate, I swear to God, right? I shit you not. Straight into the steam room. And one of my pals for childhood was sitting in, just me and him. Was in the steam room. It was all steamy. And I'm looking. I just couldn't make this fucking up. And I'm saying, is that you? I don't say anybody's names right because I'll be rhyming them off. Everybody knows who I'm talking about and who I'm not talking about. And we started striking up this friendship again, like talking. And he was saying, oh, I've been in recovery for 7 years or 5 years or whatever it was. And I'd been like 2 years, kind of like, was it round about that, year and a half or something? And we're just talking about our stuff. So you're hitting it half again because the old conversation we had 15 years ago was all about getting bluttered and
all the shit,
going with all the terrible stuff.
So
it was like two different characters. And then before you know it, he'd invited me up to do some cold water therapy. And then it went mad, mate. It just went for there because everybody had their own ideas and their own skills set. And it just went crazy, mate, because
it did blow up, didn't it? Macabre blew
and then we came up with, it was funny, I know, because my pal, he named it, right? But I was coming up with names like the Pink Panther group and all that, and they're all laughing. I says, well, the Pink Panther looks like an addict. But I couldn't come up, my head was fried. But Merkaba Crusades, it was such a special thing, mate. And then it just escalated into...
Where does the name come from? Where does it come from?
So it was my pal that came up with it, mate. He came up with the name. He said to me first, Merkaba, right? And I'm saying, because it was spiritual. We're talking about energy. Talking about this fucking great higher consciousness that we never knew anything about when we were wee, and it was non-existent, brain. Right now we're like two spiritualists walking about. People can get them away, like Mormons, right? Merkaba, it's Merkaba. It means light, spirit, body. Right? It's your aura. It's your aura, right? So everybody's got a Merkaba. Right. So it's like your energy, like beaming, when you're high or you're low. And it's Hebrew and Egyptian. It just means light, spirit, body. Right. And then he says, what about calling it crusades as well? Merkaba Crusades, because we'll be crusading everything. I thought, I love it. And then we come up with a logo, the Merkaba badge. And then it went mad, mate. We started the cold water sessions. Got a lot of people coming, helping so many, mate.
No, definitely. Like I told you that story. I actually met a lassie no long ago. We shouted to Donna, and she says that it was amazing, one of the treats. But anyway, that's me jumping too far. But
no, it just went for there, mate. And we put a lot of work into it, you know. And my pal had a lot of, built up a lot of knowledge early years, and he already had all this. But it was like when we came together, and everybody else that was involved in it, it was unstoppable, mate. Do you know what I mean? But it was no individual credit to anybody. It was all a team effort. And, you know, for even to escalate into high-end retreats, you're talking Glencoe, with a farm and stuff like that we used as well. But really hit it off. It was up in Glencoe. We had the luxury cottages. We had Stephanie coming up doing classes. Shout out to Stephanie, by the way.
And I love Stephanie's stuff.
She's brilliant. And we had yoga teachers, we had mountain climbing, fucking the cold water stuff, just getting up doing motivational talks. Mate, it was amazing, right? And we weren't making money off it. We were sometimes just covering the cost, or we were out of pocket. Brilliant time, right? But again, all of these things, they don't last because it was like a group thing, right? I took some time away. My wee boy doesn't keep well. Took time away to try and help him and stuff like that. And then to think about my own life, mate, where I was going, I've always been a bit of a showman. I like to entertain. I've always been like that. So when you're looking back at the group, Merkaba Crusades, mate, the videos will be there, the memories. It was a beautiful time. And like I said, everybody that was involved in that, myself, pal, when we started it, all the way for like the catering staff, what a job. The lassie that ran that had a really good relationship with her as well. A lot of love for her, still have, right? I've got a love for everybody. The people that ran everything, mate, that all came down to it. It was all a team effort, right? But like I said, I only take goodness for it, mate, and I have fond memories, but it's in the past now, you know, and I'm on a solo journey.
So obviously, like, it's done, like, obviously it's party, do you know what I mean? It's still always going to be party, and like, you've moved on now to do your own thing, and we'll move on to that. And so what kind of made you go doing the kind of social media, kind of comedy, like in the performing kind of like that, or maybe even like, I don't know, like you could always say an artist, really, couldn't you? Like the different things you do. I mean, you're not saying you're a famous artist or anything,
Excuse me?
Well, yeah, you're famous. You're famous.
No, I've always been like a showman type character, because I always want to be, I don't know if it's like stems for like trauma for childhood. I want to be the centre of attention, right? And because I like to tell a good story.
You were always funny, but I remember you in parties, not you were always funny. Do you know what I mean?
Character, it's just my character, and I always like to make people laugh because I think laughter such a great vibration, mate. It's a great frequency because it's contagious, and you need it, right? Definitely. You need laughter. But I think just before I moved on to the solo journey, I did offer because I missed the cold water sessions. I offered to take the dips, but it never materialised, mate. And that's one thing I do miss, right? Because I loved doing it. I loved the people.
Me and you start that up. We'll go start that and start doing that. Is that I like that, no? And
it was just amazing, mate. And shout out to all the people that was involved in it. It was it was a beautiful time. But I've always been that mad crazy character. So I always wanted to be a comedian. That's how it started, right? But I didn't know how to get into it. So I'm saying, how the fuck do you can't you just become a comedian? Somebody said to me, "Oh, it's a comedy circuit." And then I looked into that, and then nothing against them, but they were saying, "Oh, they mould you into this," and I'm like, "Oh no, I can't be mouldy. This is a character." And then I thought, but how do you be independent? Nobody's going to come to see somebody that's never. Right, so I was just sitting thinking one day, and then I was watching yourself, right? And this just shows you how it snowball effect, right? I was watching you, and I thought, wow, man, fucking hell, how well he's doing at that. He's good, and it inspired me to, if I could maybe do half of what he's doing, or if I could find a studio to get that microphone and being able to talk. I've been dying to talk for years, but real stuff. And then I did, mate. I just went searching about, researching. I had it in my mind. I thought, right, I'll maybe a day. At first, I thought a wee show. We'll do a wee show and get to talk to people. Before you know it, mate, I had a full list. And like I said, I've always had this mad addictive personality. I became addicted to the visualisation that I had. I was thinking, right, hold on, this has actually got something here. I had a wee list. And then before you know it, I'd done the interviews. And it's funny because I was telling Kelly Marie my idea. And she was so supportive. No, everybody was, right? But she was, and she said to me, it's mad how things work. She went, what about my dad? What about my dad? Right? And I'm like, oh, fucking hell, your dad's stories are brilliant. But then I'm thinking, I don't know and all that. See, and she went, trust me, I believe my dad, he'll go brilliant. He was the very first person ever on the show. And it was the best thing that ever happened, mate, because everybody loves him. And he went viral. He was ended up the most watched guest on the full show.
Oh, his podcast was brilliant. I mean, I watched it. It was mental because it's just, again, like, I just asked him, like, right about the same time you must have been going to start it. And it was the same with Joe Steele and all. So Joe had, obviously, because your family knew Joe and Rab knew Joe and whatever, right? And I remember, that's the first time I heard you were doing it, and then you hadn't released it yet. And it was my cousin, because obviously Rab is good pals with my uncle, right? And my cousin Michelle was like, get Rab Lindsay on, he'll tell you his best cafe for that, all that stuff, right? So I was like, aye, right, I'm going to go down that road. And he said to me, aye, but I'm doing gyms first. And I didn't know at the time, right? And then I says, Jim, who is Jim King? I says, Cumbernauld. He says, aye, and then he says, after I do gyms. And so I would actually like to get Rab on, but that was the first time I had heard you were doing it. And then when I watched it was a fucking brilliant podcast. And anybody that's not watched Jim's podcast should go and check it out. Know what I mean? There's some great interviews there. But so you started with that, and then I seen you start obviously comedy. I mean that to me takes balls, man. Right? That's like where I couldn't do that. Like I'm no funny enough for a start, right? But that would be the hardest thing. I just don't know how you could date, mate. Know what I mean?
It's a hard one because I'm suffering for the feeling the now when you just mention it. It's like I can't even explain the emotion, mate. But it comes in two emotions. The before and the after. So the before is like the most fearful feeling, anxiety feeling I've ever had in my life. Like I wanted to run at the fire exit and start. Just let it all go. I can't do it. But then see after it, the euphoria was lingering for days, mate. I felt like I was walking on water because I thought, because you overcome that feeling, so you're pushing yourself.
Aye.
But for that to start, so it started for doing
Aye.
Robert Lindsay's first,
Aye.
right? Legend.
Aye.
And we're looking at getting him back for the summer.
Aye.
And then I'll speak to him for you. You get to say, right, Ram, because everybody likes him. Because
no, I know.
So he's got that many stories, mate. But so it went for there, and then I ended up interviewing Dee Maxwell.
Aye.
Again, when you're starting out, you're thinking, well, these people are not even going to give me the time of day.
Aye.
And you'll find that most of them are they're just normal people,
definitely.
mate. And fair play to her. She said, oh, you're just starting out and don't mind helping you and stuff.
She's a nice lass. I don't know her, only know like through social
know
media.
What it's like
Aye.
on social media, mate. You get so many trolls and hates. And
I know.
Right, but she's an amazing.
Don't realise they're bumping your channel up, but.
Exactly. She's an amazing lassie.
Aye.
And I picked her up. It's funny enough because she cancelled on me.
Aye.
Right, and I thought, yeah, bastard, no chance, no way.
Aye.
Because I'm thinking, Dee Maxwell.
Aye.
And I says to her, no, you don't need to get the train. I says, I'll come pick you up. And it was, she went, oh, I stay in Saltcoats. And I says, right, I'll be down.
Aye.
Right down to Saltcoats. But I'm fucking shiting myself. Because I'm painting a picture. I actually done a set on that story itself. And you know, as soon as you get in the car, mate, we hit it off right away.
Aye.
And she even, I think it was before we actually done the show.
Aye.
She said to me, oh, I've got this gig in the theatre. Right? So I'm not even thinking. She went, it's up in Lochgelly and Fife and all that. But my car's broke down, Jim, and I'm struggling to get transport. And I says, I'll run you. She went, you'll run me to the gig? I says, I'll run you to the gig. I'd love to come to the gig.
Aye.
She went, well, if you do that, she went, I'll give you the opening act on the show.
Aye.
My bottle, I could feel it, right? I went, you'll give me the opening act. Right away, I thought, this is what I've always wished for.
Aye.
Why is she giving me this?
Aye.
And she went, the stage is yours. And I says, well, thank you, I'll take that. I says, when is it? She went, in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
So did you need to write up like
I wrote up a set. I had 3 sets and I picked one.
I watched, it was funny, man. It was like, it kind of reminded me, like some of the stuff just reminded the way you were back in the day. With
see that experience,
like that,
mate? The only way I can explain it is it was an outer body experience.
Aye.
Like, I don't remember doing it.
Aye.
I can see myself when I watch it, but
aye.
I'll just try and cut it short because I know I can fucking talk.
No,
right?
We've got plenty of time, mate.
So she said to me, right, so it was me the opening act, Mikey Emotion was the support act, and then Dee, the main act.
Aye.
But we get to Lochgelly and when we get there, Mikey said to me, oh, how you doing and all that. I knew Mikey obviously had done an interview. I knew him before that.
Aye.
And he said to me, I don't know if he meant it, but he said to me, theatre's doing the theatre on your first gig, mate. It's a bit right. I'm going like that, my ego, right? I'm saying, I'm fine, mate, I'm fine. See, when we walked in, and I looked at that stage and the seats. I went, he looked at me, I was chalk white. Totally chalk white, right? And he's like, you're right. And I says, I'm fine, I'm fine.
He's obviously new, isn't he?
I knew, right? The bottle had went, right? I'm fucking shaking. He went, I says, can I get the change room at my cell? The one with the shower? Well, you know what I'm in, ice cold showers.
Aye.
Mate, I was shaking like a leaf.
Aye.
And then I can hear the audience building up, right? And I just kept going for cold shower. And I'm coming out and I've got a towel in me.
Aye.
And I'm into there chinging and I'm running about with this towel. And she's going, what's he fucking doing? It was like a comedy show behind, right? And I'm pure running about like a madman. And she's like, somebody get a grip of him. You can't run about here with a towel on and all that. And I've got it up there like I'm a woman. All you need to do is one at the top. So I'm in again and she's going like that. 15 minutes and you're on. I'm like, oh no. And everybody was coming to see me, mate.
Aye. I remember, because I was actually going to come. I was going to get a ticket.
Right. And then I went for the last cold shower. And I came out and I'm still shaking. And I thought, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking hanging my shoulder again. I was going, you can't do it. Tell her you can't do it. You're not going to be able to. Right? It's too big for you. You'll never do it. And I'm like, fighting this, mate.
Aye.
It was the hardest emotion ever to overcome. And I forget it. I've come out the shower and I'm still starkers, naked.
Aye.
And I've got my earphones, right? Put it on my phone. Stage fright meditation. And I'm
was there a thing?
Stage fright meditation, right? And I'm naked.
Aye.
I'm in the wee room and I'm going, and it's going, the stage is yours. you are the best. And I'm like, oh, feeling it. Just as at the door burst open, it's Dee. And she went, right, you're on into it. Oh, for fuck's sake, put some clothes on. You fucking idiot. And she went like, Pee-wee, slammed the door. And I thought, I'm just at the cold shower.
And did you really know Dee that well at this time?
I just met her. She's obviously, time I'd met her.
So she's trying to run the show. Obviously.
She's running the show and I'm causing fucking chaos with towels. And by that time I threw my clothes on, right? And went up to the stage and she's already out. So, you know, and she does like Auntie Betty character. And then she welcomes me onto the stage. Honestly, I went up there and I was fucking jelly. I didn't know what I was doing. It was such a brilliant time. And then Mikey said to me, he went just before I went on, he was at the side. Because he has experience, mate. He was, and he said to me, what's your set, mate? What you? And I went, I don't know. I'm just going to kid on, I was pumping D. And he went, what? And just as that, she shouted me onto the stage and he's looking at me and I was like, oh, fuck it. Mate, I went on and do you know it went well? I got a lot of good feedback. And
what was it like, see, like, getting like laughter? Because like, I've spoke to actors, I've had like actors on here, like big actors, like I've been in Hollywood movies and stuff and like massive box sets, and you get them on the podcast and they're like terrified, like anxiety and all that. And I'm like, I can't understand. I suppose it's and a podcast, you know yourself, comes second to none now, right? You're sitting in front of that, they podcast, no bother, right? And you could probably go and tell you. I don't think these things would bother me. Going on stage, and I've listened to like other actors talking about that is the like Robin Williams and people like that saying the stage is where you get the real it's so raw. You can't, because you make a mistake.
There's no mistakes.
There's no mistakes. You know what I mean? You need
you're live, mate. It's
So was it like getting the laughters? But then, see, like getting the laugh. It must be some buzzy.
Oh, mate, I watch it back 1,000 times, man. See, it's the best drug in the world.
Have you ever had one but with both lead balloons and you're like, oh, like,
you know, I think I've done like 5 gigs. Right? I don't claim to be a comedian. I just love doing it. But I've never bombed, right? But that's kind of a white lie. Because I done one at Paul Barrett's Addicted to Life. But that was me, my ego saying, oh, I can do this. No, and he said to me, come up and do a comedy show for me. But I'd always been with Dee or somebody else. This time I'm getting in alone. And I was at the time dressing up as the Beachwood Bandit, the cowboy hat and the robe, playing that character that I did in the parties because I thought it's funny and all that. And so but it was a schoolboy error because I'd sat in the film meeting with all the shares. Oh no, because by that time my whole vibration had dropped. Right, I should have just come in after that and just done the show. I feel like busting out greeting at the end of this because everybody's sharing all their troubles and all that, and I can feel it all, and then I'm thinking about mine, and then Paul says, right, that's Jim, he's going to do a comedy set now, and everybody just looked at me, and I felt like the tears coming, right? I felt like I lost wee boy. And he went to it, and I says, right, I'm going to the toilet, and I'll be it.
Paul fired you right in.
He's fired me right in. And I went into the toilet, and I've come in there with the mirror, and I've got the cowboy hat and the robe, and I'm looking at myself, and I thought, the fuck are you doing? Got nobody here to help you now. And I says to him, right, put on the music, and I'll come out. But what he never told me was it was a chapel hall. And it was an altar. So I have to go up and do comedy on a chapel altar.
And
talking about drugs and I'm like, hold on, I used to be Catholic. I'm not religious anymore.
This doesn't feel right.
And then he said to me, I've not got a mic. And I was like, mate, how can you do it? He went, can you not do it without a mic? And I'm like, this cunt's fucking easy.
How many people is there?
It was maybe about 40, maybe 60. I can't remember, right? Say 40.
But it's all people out in recovery and all that.
All right, in recovery, right. But I said to him, I've got a mic in my car, but there's no wire. I said, it's just a prop. So before you know it, I've got the mic with no sound. He's put the music on. And I've came out to Then He Kissed Me, that song at Goodfellas. They're walking into the restaurant. I'm like, and mate, could I hear that pin drop? They were just looking at me. All these people that are in recovery and I could feel it. And I'm like, oh no. It's not going to go well. Because it was so different for like doing the theatre.
I think we are going to, I don't know if that's been Paul's fault or whatever, I don't know.
No, but this is what happened, right? So I went up and they're all looking at me. Paul's at the side laughing and all that. And I started doing my set. And it was something about, this is hilarious, this story, but it was about a badger. When I worked on the roads, I was blittered in a party and I was always in call and the phone was going, right? and it was a work phone. I'm going like, and I'm like, shh, I've been mad with it for days. And I'm not the work van's parked outside, and I have to go, oh, there's a badger on the M8. I need you to go. And I'm like, right, a badger. Fucking fleeing out my tits. And I got there, and what happened was, I don't want to get right into it, but the badger was still alive, but it was breathing and all that. My mate ended up murdering this poor thing with a shovel.
Oh, God.
It was terrible, right? And I'm saying, phone the vet and all that. It was just, I was bluttered. But
was he thinking he was putting it out his misery?
His misery. But the badger ended up biting the shovel and all that. He was fighting with this thing. It was this comedy.
Well,
I told the full badger story. And there was not one laugh, mate. And they're all just looking at me.
Lead balloon.
They're just looking at me as if that's cunt for. And I actually got to the point where I felt like saying, stick it right up your arm. And I felt it, and I had to compose myself and say, right, you need to change it. So I stopped. I told the badger story, and it was like, and they're all just staring at me, thinking. And I thought, this is what it feels like to be bombing. And I flipped it. Started telling the story about the strip search, ecstasy. Oh, before you know it, they're all asses. Oh, who took? And they're like, oh, I took Mitsubishi's, and this is what the day. And then and then it went well. But like I say, you could ask me a question that could be half an hour, that story, but that was a learning curve for me, because I thought my ego was saying, I can do this. This is easy. But it wasn't, mate. It was hard.
No, I've heard comedians talking about bombing, like, but big comedians. I'm talking, like, you hear them talking about, like, everybody's got a story. Like, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, like Cat Williams, and like everybody talks about the time when they went out and nobody laughed, or they tell a joke that didn't go down well. Do you know what I mean? And you see it quite a lot, and I think that is what you're doing. It's a learning curve, isn't it? And it's learning about, like, your environment, your surroundings, and there's so many.
Well, you learn so much, man. Mate. It takes you. It's not just about the comedy, mate. It's about getting by those emotions, about feeling like you can't do something and then achieving it, but doing it successfully. Right? And then other people enjoying it, telling people about it, watching it back, hearing the laughter. You know, and people saying to you, you're a natural. But it was actually Kelly Marie that she came to a few of the gigs, but she said to me, look, don't take this the wrong way, but I feel that you're better than that. You're impersonating a comedian. And at first I thought, she fucking talked to. At first I thought, what do you mean I'm the Beachwood Bandit? She went, no, but I feel like if you just be yourself,
drop that.
The white drop that character. You're hiding behind a mask. Right? Like no being authentic. I get what she's talking about. She went, if you were to take that Beachwood Bandit character away and just be yourself, the way you used to tell the stories in the parties and all that, even with us, she went, you'll do even better. And that's the
way you're doing it now.
So I've got one on the 25th of April in the theatre again, and that's what I was saying to people. I said, I want to do theatres now. I'm not doing pubs and clubs and all that and stand. It's not happening. I'm no bombing for no cunt. So I'm in there. Dee again gave me the opening act, 10 minutes. She always says, oh, you're only getting 7, fuck her. It's 10, right? I says, did I sell the tickets for you? I'm only kidding, but she's going to kill me. So I'm in there again, but again, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to change the set again. You know, and try something different. Just the way you tell the story, mate. And it's all about timing and interacting with the audience. This time I'm evolving because I'm just going to be myself.
It's a long journey, Jim, and it's going to, like comedy, like you've obviously got the gift of the gab, right? But you need to learn the rules of comedy. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like that. Well, I would imagine so. I'm only taught, like, for what I'm listening to other comedians when they say that you can't, like, it's no, like, you take Cat Williams, right? You just think Cat Williams is just funny, right? Like, or do you think Dave Chappelle, like, he's just funny, right? Like, even 5-0, right? Big 5-0 is funny as fuck. He's skits and all that. He's brilliant, right? But he's no like that in real life. No. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's a character. Like, it's, you know what I'm talking about? And you're selling comedy, you're making people laugh. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's probably why when you go to the theatre, people are coming for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it's
much better, mate, even though it's a bigger stage. So it's bigger, right? And it's more like, whoa, this is the theatre here. But it's easier, I feel. I done a gig in Cabrain. Fucking hell. That was hard.
that the people you knew and all that? But
I was lucky, but do you know why? Because it ended up, the Scotland game was on at the same night.
Right.
And none of the guys came.
Right, so it was on a
It
bus.
was all buds. So I thought, yeah, fucking dancer.
Aye.
But even then, it was still difficult, mate, because I was playing that character. I had the cowboy boots on, the cowboy hat,
Aye.
and fucking D's going like that to me. Oh, it's getting rowdy out there. So we're in the wheel, and I'm saying, fuck off. But that was a 20-minute set, opening act. But again, I get good feedback.
Aye.
But I feel like I could have done better. But it was, again, a learning curve because in front of a home audience,
Aye.
it didn't do as well as I thought because they're expecting you to be the way you were all the. I don't know. It was,
I know.
It was the hard gig, mate. But
But these things you're doing, man, they're big tests, mate. That's what I call them. Like the universe is testing you, mate, to see if you can do it. Because these things, no, everybody can do it. And see, when we spoke about it earlier, Jim. See, when you start trying to move on and maybe stay your own thing and grow and stuff, like it's not leaving people behind because you love everybody. Do you know what I mean? But people are doing their own thing and people are maybe up to stuff that you like. It's just maybe your values have changed and your morals have changed, whatever it is. But you're not judging anybody. Like, you're not thinking that people do their own thing for their own reasons, and I'm certainly not going to tell anybody how to do their life. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's entitled to do their own thing, but when you start changing yourself, it's hard because you can. I don't know if you feel, but you can sometimes feel isolated a wee bit. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
definitely, mate. It's a lonely path.
Aye.
Because you're going somewhere where you, in a way where the environment I grew up in, this is just my beliefs, right, and how I see things. Everybody's different, but I'm going against the grain of what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be going back to work and on the roads, maybe somewhere that I'm no happy, right?
Aye.
And living a life to make up to somebody else's picture, right?
Aye.
It's like trying to break that mould, mate. Living your life through other people's expectations. That's it. Whereas I'm still like that. People are saying to me, "Oh, why don't you just? There's a job here for you. Why don't you come back?" And I'm saying, because that will kill me. I can't do that. I need to, as you said, feel the pressure of change, pushing yourself, achieving things. As soon as you get that, right? As soon as that, you feel that emotion, you think, whoa, I've never felt that euphoria before. Even taking cocaine, even taking ecstasy, drink, nothing like that. See that buzz, mate? And I'll never, ever go back because that natural high is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it is very lonely, right? Because I find myself, even though I can talk for Scotland and I'm good with people, nobody understands me, mate. I've got a mad personality, right? But I never stop thinking about evolving, creating. And sometimes I'll go the wrong way, mate. But I'll learn for that. And you said it earlier on, putting up boundaries. I'm now on a solo path and a solo journey. And everybody that's crossed my path before that, I send out love to them. I send out gratitude because everybody crosses your path for a reason, good or bad. You learn things, you teach them things. You know, and it's mad when you have positive thinking, positive thoughts, creative thoughts, you're writing it down.
Aye.
Mad stuff starts to happen for you, mate.
I know.
Like really crazy stuff that I'd always wished for. Like you're talking about the stage, right? I used to walk about my room, mate, when I was 10, picturing myself with the remote control, right? Picturing myself on that stage, being like Eddie Murphy, being a showman. But when the drink and the drugs came, that went away, mate.
Nah, no.
But when the drink and the drugs started to go back, to leave me, that came back. That dream came back and it materialised very quickly.
Aye.
Because I thought I had two choices, either go back to suffering with addiction or get a new high. No, don't give up. You get something else that's going to give you a better buzz, but it's inspiring and it's going to really change not just my life, mate, for my family as well. You know what I mean?
No, listen, I think your journey's incredible, Jim, and I hope you know I've always kind of supported your journey all through. Like, do you know what I mean? And even when like we were talking about like doing the podcast and stuff and sharing each other's stuff and all that, and then people saying to me, why are you sharing his stuff? Like and I'm like, I'm not in competition with him. I wish Jim all the best, and he's good at what he does, and his podcast's different from mine. Do you know what I mean? It's all like so many people have got this thing where they want, I don't know, but it's not as if they want to conflict, but it's as if they, why would you share his stuff? And I'm like, I get it. I get why you're saying it, but I don't really like that. I don't.
No.
That's not me.
I think
do you know what
people
I mean?
for the
Like,
outside will always kind of think that way, unless you're actually in this game, in this
because the
industry.
podcast world's mad. There's millions of them.
It's
Do you know
really
what I mean?
difficult,
It's huge,
and
aye.
you need to really. I believe that you block your own abundance, because
Mhm.
I was a bit like that at the start, mate.
Mhm.
Oh, what they doing? How can I not get that? How are they getting this? But you block your own abundance.
Aye.
You need to really share it,
Mhm.
you know, and whatever's meant to happen will happen.
Aye.
Because I believe it all goes on your intentions.
Mhm.
People can go in there and speak about how they've got these great beliefs and all the rest of it. But see, if you've not got the correct intentions,
Aye.
then the outcome
Would be, aye. I
that's
agree
what
with
will
you.
happen.
Mhm.
No matter what you're saying, it's really what you're thinking.
No, I
What you're
agree with you.
thinking creates it. And if you're real to yourself and you're real to others,
Aye.
then whatever your dreams are, whatever your vision is,
Mhm.
it'll materialise, because it's the laws of the universe. You
Definitely.
put enough work into something, you're brave enough to speak it,
Mhm.
then it'll happen, because it can't no happen, because it's an
No,
energy.
I'm with you honestly. Like I know I'm a believer in the law of attraction myself, and I kind of no certain to try to say this to blow my own trumpet, because don't mean this at all, because I don't actually, I'm preaching here, because I'm not doing what I should be doing and doing the work that I should be doing, but I kind of know it works, because I had an experience. I've spoke about it a few times, but I had an experience. I spoke about it on yours as well, Jim, on your show up in Castle Huntley, when I with the bird and all that, and when I was manifesting, and I knew I was doing it. I could feel myself on a different level of vibration. You just feel it. Do you know what I mean? You're vibrating at a different level. And the talks that you usually have with your pals when you're talking a lot of shit and all that, they're dead uninteresting at that time. You know what I'm talking about? Like you feel it's not above, because that's the wrong word. You're not above MD. I certainly don't think I'm above MD. No, not at all. But it's like you don't want to talk the stuff they're talking. It's great. It's like gives you anxiety, and you start feeling the feelings that you're like, fucking, I don't want anything to do with any of this stuff anymore. Like none of it. Like it's all.
So that bullshit.
Oh yeah, like even if it's like just pure, I don't even know, just stuff that you can't be bothered with. Just like you're just like you
But
just like,
it's mad, because you said it's like an awakening, right? You're no better or worse than anybody else.
no,
But I believe not everybody, but some people have times where they might go through an awakening. And as you said, there could be a conversation happening here
mm-hmm,
that 2 weeks ago that you would have been involved in.
mm-hmm,
But because you've had this, something's happened.
mm-hmm,
Like your consciousness has went up.
mm-hmm,
Your awareness is better.
mm-hmm.
When you're thinking about things and you're thinking, I'm not interested in what the score was, or
Mm-hmm.
who was fighting with who, or who gets
Mhm.
slashed. No, I'm wanting to better myself.
Definitely.
And as you
But
said,
you can get pulled into it dead easy. Like if you meet like I love my pals, right? I love spending time with them, and I don't like obviously I've got my family now, so you don't see the thing, but I do. I love spending time with my pals, and I love all my pals. You all know who you are. Like I don't need to go through them same as you. I need to go through them all, but the when you I can't be bothered drinking and all that. Like, see, like drinking. I don't get me wrong. I never drank a lot anyway. But it was like even going out for even a couple of beers the next day, you feel like a crap day and all that. Do you know? That's what I feel anyway. I feel like I can't be bothered with, like when my Wayne's trying to play with me or things like that.
because
Know what I mean?
it's a low vibration, mate.
Totally.
No, it's that thing for the Arabs,
Aye,
with the Al Ghul,
aye,
the body eating spirit,
aye.
because they've got the right idea.
I know.
When I look at it now, drink was my worst problem, mate. But I couldn't think anything worse now, because I know how it feels to be like vibrating high,
Mm-hmm.
or putting yourself low like the next day. Oh, I can't be bothered,
Mm-hmm.
because it's fucking lowered your spirit.
Definitely.
It's destroying your mind.
I mean, me personally, I've got tons of demons in my life, tons of trauma, like um, loads of stuff I need to work through, Jim. Do you know what I mean? Loads of stuff, but I feel as if like I'm doing a path that I'm trying to like educate people, but be educated as well. And that's what like my guests will do. Like my guests will get them on and they'll educate me while I'm getting educated. So it gives me a broader picture. Now I know I've got my own political views, and if we went down that rabbit hole, we'd be here all fucking day, right?
I'll not be here.
Aye, right. And that's what you don't like politics, but politics can swallow me up very quickly, and I can get involved talking about America and Ukraine and all this shit that's actually really that doesn't do me any good. It just makes me go into a kind of debatey, argumentative mode. Do you know what I mean? Where but my opinion's just as valid as the next person's. See if somebody fucking likes what Putin's doing or somebody likes what Zelensky's doing, they're, my opinion, it doesn't matter. Their opinions is just as valid. Nobody's right. So we need to realise that. But there's so much hatred, and I think this is only my thing, but I think the working class are so divided, and we've got so much that we don't like each other for, like whether it be religion, football teams, politics, like if you look through, I don't know how, because I'm going to go into social media next, right? Like your journey on social media. I know you've got quite a big presence on social media, right? But coming along with social media comes along with negative comments, positive comments, and stuff like that. Now, I was ran through the mill with the media. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't really bother me if I get a bad comment. Do you know what I mean? I've had a lot worse, like with mainstream media. Do you know what I mean? So how does that make you? How do you deal with that?
The social media side of things.
Aye.
Again, this mad crazy personality of mine. I do everything myself.
Aye.
So, as you know, it's a lot of work.
Aye.
But dealing with the trolls, mate, at the start, I was naive, maybe inexperienced.
Aye.
I never ever argued back with them because I'd
Aye.
already been on the spiritual path and learned about if you're getting energy,
Aye.
that's what they're wanting, right? But listen, mate, I deal with it very good now. So some comments, not everybody, mine's is, as you said, very different, right?
Aye.
It's controversial. So there's people on there that a lot of people don't like, maybe porn stars or something like that, you know, but it's an entertainment, right? I'm entertaining people. I've had loads of comments, mate, that they've been negative or maybe slagging maybe guests, their appearance or stuff that they've done in the past, bringing up my past. I try and make comedy, mate. As I say, I never hurt anybody, but to deal with it, when you're going through a hard time, sometimes it can affect you, mate, if you get dragged into it.
Aye.
But there's times where I've never ever engaged in an argument with any of them, right? Because I know there'd be no point. I've been trolled, mate. I've had trolls face to face, smiling assassins, I call them. Oh, how you doing? And then behind your back, stabbing fuck at you, you know what I mean? But I just deal with it in a way where I know that it's coming from a place of hurt, or it's coming from a place where you've triggered their insecurities.
Aye.
And it shows you where they're actually at on their journey to be writing such hatred and such. So it doesn't affect me anymore. I actually welcome it because it builds my page, it builds all my platforms.
They do, but like obviously they don't think they realise that, but they do build your channel for you. Do you know what I mean? But it's like I'm just for anybody. I'm just kind of trying to think like, see for anybody that maybe thinks I fancy kind of going on social media and expressing myself, because social media, I think you can watch other people's lives and think they've got the best lives in the world, right? And a lot of people do that, and I think that's a lot of people would go, oh, I love social media, but I couldn't put myself out there, right? And I go, well, what you're doing then is you're just watching other people's lives and thinking they've got a better life than you, because nobody puts out the bad bits of their life. You know what I'm talking about? Nobody puts out when you're sitting there and you whatever, like you're struggling for money and do you know what I mean? It's none of that. It's always when you're on holiday or you're doing this. Aye, do you know what I mean? It is, mate. It's like it's always.
It's crazy, mate.
But people, because I can do it. I can look and go, fucking hell, man, he's doing really well for himself, and then you will speak to him maybe a year later and they're like, I'm fucked, mate, and been for a couple of years now and that, and you're like, you know, that social media feed you've got doesn't.
It's the same, mate. It's like just before I met you earlier on,
Aye.
I met somebody in the garage, and they're saying to me, "Oh, how you doing? Oh, you're doing brilliant and all that, right?" But they don't know how you're doing, really.
Aye.
As you said, it looks like you're doing brilliant.
Aye.
They don't realise the amount of pressure that comes with that.
Aye.
You've then created a persona, a show
Aye.
that you need to keep up with now. You need to provide the audience with a good show. So you're going to come up against trolls and all the rest of it. But there's times, mate, I've never been, I would say, go back to being like proper suicidal, but there's been times through the whole journey, from the start to sitting here, where I felt like fucking giving up because of the amount of time, how hard it's been, the struggle with it all. But then again, I thought, it's me versus me. You know, I'm no in competition with anybody. Do you know what I mean? So once I learn that, and I believe that you're going to have ups and downs like anything in life, mate.
Aye.
But this is, I'm on the right path now. I feel like this is where I belong, is putting on this show and doing these things. The comedy, again, it's just another thing to push me. Keep pushing me. But I'm nowhere near where I need to be.
Aye.
No, this is the first time I've really spoke about myself. And I've got loads of work to do. Loads. Like, I need to be training. I need to be in the gym. I need to be meditating. I want to be eating better.
No.
I need to be fucking, you don't just become all this overnight. It's a process.
Definitely.
So you add wee different things. And as you know, we're creatures of habit. So you could get into bad habits, but you can get into good habits as well.
I know.
I found myself, it might sound daft to some people, but when you've got a personality like this and a mindset, even waking up in the morning, what are you doing? Are you getting up? Are you thinking positive thoughts?
I know.
Or are you getting up and driving to Greg's and getting a roll and bacon and a cup of coffee and then thinking, right, what am I doing?
Aye.
So that's what I used to find myself driving to Greg's now, going, why am I doing this? Stupid things like that.
Aye.
But, mate, I'm a million miles away from where I was. I never ever, when I was in that turmoil and that chaos and low vibrational state, there was no way in a million years I could have ever thought I would be sitting here in this position with these social media platforms, talking to somebody like yourself on YouTube and all the rest of it, millions of views. But no, I believe that there's a reason behind it. You know, I'm getting a chance to speak. I'm getting other people a platform, and I'm getting to be that showman that I always dreamed of. Am I happy? No, I'm not, mate. I'm not happy because I'm not where I'm supposed to be yet. But I've got a vision of where I'm meant to be. And am I lonely? I am. I can be lonely, but I don't like to be around about people too much either.
I know.
It's a
You can't.
crazy.
I know. I get it all, mate. It's like you can't have it all, and it's like I keep going like TikTok. I keep going. I need to start doing more TikToks, and I need to do more of this. I need to, but I think I've always said that language is so powerful, right? And see if you can start changing that. I need just to like, I could or I should be doing these TikTok. It takes the hard hitting effect away for your own psyche. Because see, when you start all that, I need to, and you end up bogged down. Right. And whereas if you're like, I should do that or I could do that, it gives you that opportunity to think and just go. And it is just slight of words. Do you know what I mean? But I believe that the way you talk to yourself is massive, because I can get so clouded, right? And my missus knows me inside out, but I can get so clouded, Jim, and my missus will go, like, what is it you're thinking? And I'll go, I don't know. I don't know. And she's like, I can just see, like, your head's doing a million miles an hour. What is it you're thinking about? I'm like, I don't know. And then she'll go, just tell me. And I'm like, right, well, I don't know. Like, I need to do this for the podcast. I need to do this for that. I need to do this, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, right, so you're thinking all these things. And she says, well, what are you doing about it? And I'm like, sitting on my phone, fucking scrolling through Twitter or whatever. Do you know what I mean? She's like, so you're not doing any of it. So I'm a big believer you can bog yourself down. Do you know what I mean? But if you don't have that kind of discipline, which I don't have yet, and I don't claim to have it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not claiming to have that discipline because I don't. Do you know what I mean? But I want to have it. I want to. That's what I aspire to be. So I know I could be right. Like people like say, right up 5-0's ass, but 5-0's got so much kind of discipline in his life, and he does everything so kind of like I just love the way he does things. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of look up to the big man. You know what I mean? And I kind of he does so much, and he's but he's not got Wayne's. Well, he's not got that family and all that kind of stuff. And he knows that he'll say that. Do you know what I mean? It's two different lives, so you can't be. You can maybe look up to somebody like you were looking at Conor McGregor. I look up to like Gabber Matty, and I look at these people, and they'll all tell you that they've got their own problems or not, Jim. Do you know what I mean? So how do you deal with that side of it then when it's starting to bog you down and all that? Because I'd imagine you'd probably get the same kind of thing as me, like in the way that you're no a million, you're no like you're disciplined, but you're no quite where you want to be yet.
No, and I believe that you're always going to be evolving. There's no right. That's me. I've made it now.
Definitely.
So you can't give yourself a hard time. See, as long as you are maybe writing it down and you're no procrastinating.
Aye.
You know, having all the things in your mind and not doing any of them.
Aye.
So that's just making you worse every day.
Definitely.
And it's always, I'll do it tomorrow. No, instead of do it now, do it now. It's tomorrow never comes.
Definitely.
So for me, mate, sometimes when I get those difficult emotions, I need to go back into solitude, right? And then say to myself, right, and I get my wee journal and I write it down. And I say, well, look how well you've done, right? So don't give yourself a hard time. Write a wee list and write stuff that are achievable, small steps.
Aye.
And I don't achieve them all. And there's things that I look back on and I think, bastard, I could have done that better.
Aye.
Or I could have said this, or could have and should have. But you learn from everything, good and bad. So I'm trying to be good to myself. See, look what you've achieved so far, right? And you've been doing it for maybe just over a year, about a year. It's for me, I kind of knew it would do well. I know it sounds a bit. I had the belief in myself, and I believe that's why, because it's consistency.
Oh, you've got crazy analytics, mate, for the first year.
You can burn yourself out as well, but
totally.
I feel now I've got a lot of controversial stuff coming up. Controversy sells. It's an entertainment business, but mate, I'm just happy.
You're not claiming to be anything else, but it's a Jim King show. It's an entertainment show. So see, like, if you maybe have people that expect something of you, right? This is only my vision. This is only my view, by the way. You maybe have people who expect something for you because you did have maybe Merkaba, or you did have like a journey in recovery. That's no anything to do with the Jim King show. The Jim King show is different. So people may be expecting you to, why are you doing that, or what? That's nothing to do with anything. It's like you're not doing a recovery podcast. You're not doing a personal growth podcast. It's the Jim King show. It's a entertainment value.
Exactly.
You're not claiming to be anything else.
No, and it's always been, like I said, it must have my whole life thought about being a showman.
Aye.
So to have that, and it sounds sometimes people thought, oh, it's a bit narcissistic naming the show after yourself. But in a way, I thought it was quite a clever thing.
Aye.
Because it gets my name out there, right? People start to follow you and they know who you are. But I've always wanted that anyway. I always wanted to have a show. I just never knew it was going to be like this.
Aye.
But, mate, I would never change it for anything now. And I believe that I'm on the right path. This is my purpose now. It gives me drive. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about how I can block out my emotions. I'm thinking about how I can enhance them. What else can I do to achieve something great? And I'm not doing it. At the start, I was kind of rushing. I was going somewhere, but I didn't know where I was going. Just trying to get something. And then I realised that it might be sound a bit of a cliche, but I realised I'd already arrived. Do you know where I was and what I was doing? So why am I rushing it? Why am I feel at home now.
I think your journey's going to be similar to like maybe like 5-0 and that. Do you know what I mean? And I think so. Say like I was doing a podcast, right? I'm not going to name names, right? But there was two people, and somebody was saying to the other guy, like, look, you've got a big platform, and the youngins listen to you, and that you should be highlighting Palestine and highlighting this and highlighting that, and he kind of thought on it, know what I mean? And he said to me, that's not my thing's comedy and entertaining people, which we need. Well, I think the fucking world's grim, man. Like, we need entertainment. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't think it's fair when people do that to you, Jim. I don't think it's fair when people do that to him. I don't think it's fair when people put that on you, that they want you to be a certain way, so you should be that way. You're not claiming, you're not claiming to be a self-help guru. You're not claiming to be like that part is, no, in the past, I'm pretty sure you do help people still, but the part, you know what I'm talking about, that bit's
Oh, I've
away
still
now.
had people, mate, reaching out to me saying, "Oh, can we have a chat? I'm struggling with my mental health," and I
Aye.
will talk to them.
Aye.
But I'm not a counsellor, and I
No.
still struggle myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I have different things that I can reach out to and grab. But I'm never at the spa, right?
Aye.
I'm always in having steam rooms and saunas and lounging at the pool, reading my book, writing, talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's like therapy, because you know yourself, when I'm sitting there every week talking to people who are talking about trauma, talking about prison,
Mm-hmm.
shootings, whatever it is,
Mhm.
it's difficult to switch that off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, because I found at the start, I'm a bit better with it now,
Mm-hmm.
but at the start, I was dreaming about it and all that, and it was taking its toll on me.
Aye.
All these people talking about murders, and I'm like, fuck's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But now, it's like a boundary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not saying it bounces off me,
No,
but I
no,
try
aye.
and not let it affect me as much as it did,
Aye.
because how do I put it? I'm a bit of a, I've got a soft spot for people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying certainly not a pushover or anything like that, but I think I always have this big heart,
Mm-hmm.
and when people talk about their traumas,
Aye.
I take it on, you know what I mean? I think that's
No, I
a
know.
shame, that's fucking, and
I
then
know.
it troubles me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking, I can't do this.
I know.
So I'm always in like I said, that sauna, lying back, thinking, right, no, and protecting yourself. But there's
nothing wrong
always
with it.
more we need to
Nothing
do.
wrong with it. And I think people expect people to do things the way they want sometimes, and that's that's no the way things. It's like people, you do your own thing, and if it works, it works, and it's working for you now, Jim. So I don't have any change anything, mate. Do you know what
No,
I mean?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good about it, mate. I'm
So, like, we've obviously kind of got like 10, 15 minutes left. So, I just want to kind of give you the last kind of, where are you going? Like, where do you see the Jim King show going? Where do you see the comedy going? Are you going to start seeing you on TikTok lives? Have we got, like, what's your kind of future plan now?
So I'm looking at getting the podcast onto Spotify. I've been a bit delayed on that. Maybe you could help me with that one. I say I do a lot of stuff myself, but
Listen, if I never had big pot, I wouldn't be anywhere, mate.
no, I'm just evolving that, mate. Like I said, I've got some other projects that I'm working on that are going to be, that'll serve me well. They're going to be successful in their own rights.
Mm-hmm.
Different types of stuff, but connected.
Mm-hmm.
To say I'm still learning, but for me, I know with my feeling now, the way I feel that I'm on the right path. So I'm going to continue on. So say no rush. I'm releasing the right episodes, meeting the right characters, putting on the right shows. So I'm full time on the Jim King show. For me, I see it being global, mate. I see it being worldwide. The big stage. Just really, really putting on a show, and people enjoying it. And saying, yeah, I loved that. You know, and yourself, that's fucking means more to me than anything, mate. To have that. But the comedy side of it, it's no a career, but it's as I say, another avenue to push me at my comfort zone. To keep me evolving, because you can get comfortable.
Definitely.
And then I'll add something else on. Once I get the training right.
You've done even like the wee, I know it was controversial, but the thing with Amira and that, like we kind of different things. You're trying and testing things.
That was a hard gig, because Amira's a bit of a character. Listen, got on really well with her. Through, you talk about trauma. Fuck's sake, I'll not get right into it, but that was a wee experiment. It's like a documentary style episode. But it was good, mate. It went well. It done well. I think it was sitting at 7,500 views in the first couple of weeks. But she's a big character herself, and people love to hate or they love to watch it. But listen, mate, we're going to be trying loads of different things. As I say, but the Jim King show is the main thing. I'm starting to do, as I say, it is full time, right? But all I need now is a full time wage to go with it. Getting a lot of sponsor deals. a lot of people have come in, but you know yourself, you need to be careful
Aye.
who you're working with. And mate, I'm so buzzing with it. Like it brings me a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. It's just it's a great thing,
you're
mate.
doing amazing, mate.
I'm
Honestly,
really enjoying it,
aye.
but
And you deserve it. You've put a lot of work in, mate. A lot of work. So you deserve everything everything that comes your way, Jim. Do you know what I mean? So just like, so who's been your favourite guest on your podcast? Who's been your favourite guest? I know it's a hard question, right? But
my favourite guest.
Aye, who's been your favourite
My favourite guest. I think I've got I'm just shy of 40. I think I'm at 37 or something.
Somebody asked me that and I couldn't answer it, by the way.
I think I'm 37, right?
Aye.
Episodes. Something like that anyway. But it's a really hard question, right? Because I've loved every single one. But it's got to be Rab.
Aye.
Rab Lindsay, right?
Aye.
Because it's the way he tells the story.
Aye.
I forget we're on the show.
Aye.
I get so drawn into it because I actually had Christmas dinner with him.
Aye.
For the people that don't know, Rab's my father-in-law.
Aye.
Right? And the stories he was telling at the Christmas dinner, I'm saying to him, that needs to be in part 3.
Aye.
Right? But there's things where there's conditions there for him to come on.
Aye.
So don't you be poaching him now. He's coming on tonight. But he's by far, and it's nothing against every other guest being amazing, right?
Aye.
But he's something about him. Everybody loves him.
Aye.
It's the way he tells the stories.
No, I never get back to me last time.
I
think no.
I'll speak to him for you, right?
Do you know my cousin Michelle? She knows him well, and my cousin Tommy knows him well, and they were saying we'll get Rab, and I've said to them, do it, get the number. Do you know what I mean? And we'll get him on. I'd love to have him on.
One of his viral clips.
Aye.
Was about his pal Tam.
Aye, that's
your
uncle. My uncle. Aye.
This is what I mean. With synchronicities.
I know.
They were best pals.
Aye. They
because he's
so
my big pal Tam McKee. It was the bit he was talking about where he was working on the same site as his dad.
Aye.
And he used to drive for Paisley.
That's it. Aye. They used to buy big pink motors and all that. I was mad.
There's more than meets the eye with Rab. You could do 20 episodes. So there'll be plenty there.
No, there were characters, and it would be different anyway. Because I would like to talk with Rab more about his prison experience and stuff like that. You know
mine's are more about his stories and about the car chases and how funny they are, and it's entertainment. But to answer your question, mate, he runs away with it by a country mile.
Aye.
But I've enjoyed a lot of the genres.
Aye.
But I just think it's just something about him.
Aye.
Even all the birds, mate.
Aye.
I know he's in his 50s and all that, but they all fancy him. And I'm saying, but what? And he's like, he's just got it.
Aye.
Do you know, it's like the bad boy.
Aye.
But he's got character. He's funny. He's got seriousness. The way he tells his stories, mate. And as I say, at Christmas, and they're all going like that, oh, there he's at. And I'm saying, tell me more. I've got a notepad. But mate, like I said, it's been a hell of a journey, but it continues on, and he was number 1.
Aye, brilliant. And
if you want me to finish up on sending a message out to the audience,
aye, that's what I was just going to do.
I've got many things that I would like to share, but this would be for anybody that is struggling, whether it be mental health, addiction, or you're maybe in a volatile relationship. If you feel that there's no way out, and you're turning to alcohol, drugs, it's just a bad routine for you. If you've watched this full show and you've seen where I've came from, being a child addict, all the chaos, all the trauma, right? All the hardships, poverty, the lot. If I can go for there, be that place of suffering and trauma and low vibrational fucking crazy stuff, and be leading the life that I'm leading now, right? If I can do that, then anybody can. And for the people that are, like I said, in a dark place, suffering, all you need to do is just look for what works for you, right?
Aye.
Have a wee bit more belief in yourself. Disconnect for the people that are not serving you. And it is difficult because you're drawn to these people and you're connected to them for a reason, but sometimes you need to let them go. And it's hard. Let go of negative self-talk because that can become very fucked up. Whereas when you're talking good about yourself, it's amazing the good things that happen. So a message to those people that just believe in some of the stuff, the dreams that you've got. If you've got maybe a vision or a dream, but you're thinking, oh, what will people think? Or I don't think it will work. If you really believe in it, and like I said earlier, if you have passion and you speak about it out loud and you put enough work into it, it will happen. And also a message to people that have showed me a lot of hate, that have maybe said a lot of bad things, then I send out love to them as well, because you either go two ways with this, right? I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but you either shell up and show negativity towards these things that we're doing, or you take inspiration for it. And the people that show negativity will stay where they are, and the people that are inspired by it will also rise up and do great things. So don't want to get too emotional, but that's my message to the audience, and I believe that with the right mindset, anything is possible.
No, brilliant message, mate. Brilliant. And obviously we'll finish up. We'll just how do we find you, Jim? How did if like my viewers have not seen you before, how do they find you? Where do they find you?
So you can find me on Facebook, Jim King, at the Jim King Show. You can get me on TikTok, Instagram. They're both the Jim King Show, and of course YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, the Jim King Show. There's some right controversial episodes coming up, but I'm sure you'll all be happy. But that's it, mate. Just find me there. Keep watching. Thanks for everybody to subscribe. And I want to thank yourself, mate, for inviting me on. It's been an honour to sit here and speak to you. And I'm grateful that you invited me onto your show, mate. It's been a real treat.
No, pleasure, Jim. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks very much, my man. Thank you.